Bill, your latest book is called The Book of Man, and in it you write that this is a book of examples worthy of emulation, stories worth knowing, lives worth studying and remembering, and counsel worth hearing. Tell us a little bit why the world needs a book about men and manliness.
Well, we could use a few more good men, and the complaints are legion, whether you're talking about employers or military recruiters or women. Men aren't shaping up the way they used to. They're not doing what they're supposed to do in many ways. Somewhere 20 or 30 years ago, we said to the girls, the young women, you go, girl, and they did. They went, and they've done very well. We just graduated from college last year, the first generation history where women were more than equal to the men in education, ambition, and achievement. Fine for the women to have stepped up and taken it to the top. But this has thrown a lot of men off. A lot of men have been left behind, too far behind. And that's a problem. We see unemployment among men. We see more men using their time in unproductive ways. I did not know until I did the research on this book. It's kind of an amazing fact. The men 18 to 35 spend more time playing video games than boys 12 to 18. That's a little ridiculous. I was in this discussion the other day with a group of people, and the moderator said, "What do you want guys to do?" And I said, "Get out of the basement of your parents' house where you're getting government health care. Get a job and get married." Right. And one of the women said, "The guys you're talking about, if they asked me, I wouldn't marry because I don't need another kid."
Yeah.
So there's this sense about the juvenilization of men. What does it have to do with? I think it has to do with a lot of things: cultural changes, shifts, the nature of the workplace. But I think it also has to do with heroes, with teaching men what it means to be a man. And we used to have a fairly clear understanding of what it means to be a man, what you're supposed to do, that you were raised to be ready to provide, or at least substantially help provide, for a wife and for children. Now, some women now are quite independent and don't need you for that. Nevertheless, if boys aren't directed as to what to do, it turns out, as the father of sons, I can tell you this, and as someone who's been a boy all his life and hung out with boys all his life in sports teams and bars and every place else, they'll wander. They'll get off the reservation, and they'll end up doing things that they shouldn't do.
What accounts for the demasculinization of culture and of men themselves, you might say?
Well, I think a lot of things. There is, some conservatives put it all on feminism or radical versions of feminism. I don't. I think some feminists have frankly scared the heck out of the boys. They're just terrified. And I think that's in there. But there's a question of what are we for? What are we supposed to do? We used to know what boys were supposed to become. And I think we have lost sight of that as a culture. This is part and parcel of a lot of things that have happened in the culture, which is a loss of a cultural center, the loss of what Charles Murray in his new book calls the founding virtues. What are those virtues? Belief in marriage and the family, honesty and law-abiding behavior, faith, and work, the value of work. One of the things I do at the commencement ceremonies, I tell students, and they always comment afterwards. I said, you know this expression, I think it's still out there. Thank God it's Friday, there's the weekend.
Sure.
I said, well, your life is good if you say, thank God it's Friday and you want to have a nice time, but you also say, thank God it's Monday. I mean, I'm crazy enough that I can't wait for 3:45 a.m. Monday morning. I mean, that's really, maybe a little obsessive, to get up to go to my radio show.
Yes.
But I love my work.
Sure.
And the irony, of course, in life is that you're not going to enjoy that weekend unless you've worked, unless you've earned it in some sense. Men need to feel they have earned, some measure of place and self-respect, and they have to do that by their own hands. And the terms of that have become unclear in the last year.
Have you been watching Downton Abbey?
No, I haven't.
Well, Maggie Smith, who is the Dowager Countess in here, this is sort of the last generation of an aristocratic family in an aristocratic home in England. But she asks a wonderful question prompted by what her, I think, nephew or something, who's a lawyer, had to say about his work week. And she asked this question, which is, I thought, wonderfully aristocratic. She said, what is a weekend?
Yeah. Right.
Because there's a real sense in which, unless you have a job,
Yeah.
you don't. The weekend doesn't really figure in your cosmology, you know.
Well, I'm afraid that question has a very clear answer in
Yes.
our culture. Thursday through Sunday.
At least.
Yeah, at least. Yeah. I mean, you know, what are there are there Saturday classes anywhere?
No.
College?
I don't think so. There are hardly Friday classes. Yeah. Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes tend to have shrunk now to Monday and Wednesday classes.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I had Saturday morning classes. Right. I couldn't kind of leave for the weekend. The football bus would have to wait till Saturday morning class.